Hello everyone, welcome back to our webcast series on study tips and strategies during self-isolation. So I'm with Jemima Hunnan from Dyslexia Demystified, and I'm Shadia from Autism Actually. And today we're going to be talking about how we keep track of assignment due dates, because this is something that we both struggle with, and I know that seems to be a common theme for many neurodivergent students, especially during this time where it's more self-paced and we're getting less verbal reminders. So some of the strategies I use is actually utilising my phone calendar, because you can change the reminders to be a day before your assignment is due, a week before your assignment is due, or even on the day. And that's been really helpful for me, because sometimes I've completely forgotten about a quiz coming up and I'll get a reminder on my phone saying it'll be due in a week. Visually, it's important for me to have input, and also in the environment around me having a lot of input as well, which I've talked about previously. I actually have a monthly planner that I color code, detailing that everything that I know is happening on specific days, whether it's work related or study related. So it's all there for me to track and tick off, which I find really helpful. I also created an assessment checklist for this semester. I've been trialing a few methods. I found that structuring my time based on study chunks and sort of pre-decided times didn't work for me, because I felt too much pressure to have to do it at that specific time that I'd allotted. So instead, I've actually created an assessment checklist so I know what's due when, and I can work towards a common goal and go, okay, today I need to work on an hour's worth of this, and then I need to watch a lecture or something like that, so I have more of a plan. Something that both Jemima and I talked about is the impact that being online has had in checking in with our peers. So this has been adjusted a bit. Funnily enough, online, when we've been kind of allocated to groups and things, it's been easier for me socially to interact with people, because we're kind of forced to contact each other out of hours to help each other. So whereas before I didn't have as many contacts, having made many friends, now I have quite a few peers that I can ask for help. So we communicate by email, on Messenger, WhatsApp, and we can ask each other questions about upcoming assignments, their due dates. And another thing that I used to do a lot was check in with my tutors after class if I had a question, and then maybe have a follow-up email. I'm finding that harder to do on the online format. So I'm finding that having a check-in with them every week just to check that I'm going on the right track, setting up meetings if I need to virtually, has been really helpful. And it's given me a lot more confidence to ask for help.
I think there's a lot of really good points that Shadia has raised there. I think particularly that last one of reaching out and asking for help. It's been interesting to see how self-advocacy is changing now that we're in the online environment. It's definitely a lot harder to, you have to take a lot more initiative, I guess, in ringing up and talking to your teacher or sending them a message or an email, rather than just seeing them quietly at the end of class. You have to actually take a lot more initiative if you're wanting to seek that help. And I do strongly urge, a lot of young people, if you are struggling to keep on top of things, message your teacher about it. They might have some ideas. I actually just sent an email to all of my lecturers today, because our timetable is not being updated since we took a university pause week. So it's been very, very confusing to try and sort through what week we're actually going through at uni right now. And each course in my particular university has changed their own schedule. So the timetable has now become completely irrelevant. It just makes things a lot clearer if you do reach out and ask for help, because you're getting it directly from, the person that you have to, I guess, hand in work to and impress and things like that. I use Outlook Calendar as well, and I actually put in all my assignments 3 days before they're actually due, when I'm putting them all in, because I totally forget about it. And I then look back, and if I've forgotten about something, I go, oh my gosh, there's something due tomorrow. And then I go, oh, hold on, it's actually 3 days from now. And so I've actually got ample time to go ahead and do that if I have forgotten. So it's sort of like having a whole lot of systems in place, where if one of your systems backfires, you've got another system that you've already used if you have forgotten something. So for instance, instead of just Outlook Calendar, I also have a whiteboard that has all of my assessment dates, all of my just general homework tasks and things on it, so that I have it both on the whiteboard and on my laptop. I think something that my mum used to do with myself when I was younger was, have one schedule that was on the fridge. The problem is, if you've got a paper schedule and you're dyslexic or probably autistic as well, you're very likely to lose things. So, having a diary does not work for me. You know, those school planners does not work. I'm going to lose it, you know, after at least the first week. So
I haven't had a diary since like year 7, and I never used it.
There you go. It's something else to lose and something else you have to keep track of. So having something that can be on your phone, on your laptop, you know, on you. I write reminders on my hand. Things like that are a lot easier to keep track of. And I think the last thing I would say is getting a neurotypical person to check over your assessment dates as you're putting them in, because I think I shared this experience with you guys last time, but I actually missed one of my assessment dates. I misread it as the opening date as the closing date. So I actually missed the assessment, and luckily I was able to redo it. But you know, that was sort of compassionate grounds, I guess, for the fact that I'd misread that time. So getting, you know, a normal person, that's what they're for, to actually read through the assessment dates and make sure that you've entered them properly from, you know, your course profile or whatever it is, into your actual calendar. Yeah, there's sort of our top tips for you guys. Hopefully they help you out. And again, feel free to comment below your own organizational tips that you've been using to keep track of those assessments on YouTube or whatever platform. Just feel free to contact us, and we'll see you for the next webcast.